Hey guys, how's it going? Happy Friday. I hope you're having an awesome day out there. I know that I am. Well, I hope you guys are ready to get back into some Phoenix Wright. We're almost done solving the case here, right? The fifth episode of the first Phoenix Wright game. We've almost finished it. So let's get back into it and see if we can't knock it out today. Hey Virtue, good to see you. I hope your day's going well so far. Happy Friday. All right. So, let's see here. Where did we leave off exactly? That's right, we were in the underground parking lot. Which game am I gonna play next? Am I gonna play the second one next? Yeah, I was thinking it would be fun to play through the original trilogy, at least. And if we're having a good time, maybe I'll keep playing through the rest of the series. There are quite a few Ace Attorney games. So, and there's a big fandom around them. They're sort of classic games as far as things go. So, I don't know, we'll play it by ear, see how it works out. Okay, so let's go ahead and move from this underground parking lot at the prosecutor's office to, how about the high prosecutor's office? I believe that's where we were gonna go next. Go see our buddy Edgeworth. I wonder if Edgeworth is back yet. There he is. It looks like he's writing something. What are you doing here? He sure was quick to throw that paper on the floor. Oh, by the way, Virtue, I added something new to the stream setup this time. Why don't you try using some emotes and see if anything special happens? Tough day in court, huh? I've had to live the past 2 years with rumors flying around. What's another allegation to me? Cheer up, Mr. Edgeworth. I'm rooting for you. You like that? I thought you might enjoy that. Yeah, I saw someone else using this on their stream and I thought, that's cool, I gotta try it. Cheer up, Mr. Edgeworth. I'm rooting for you. That's Edgeworth for you. Always trying to hide his real feelings. So, what do you want? Unlike some people, I don't have all day. Wow, Edgy, you're kind of rude. Let's have a conversation anyway. Let's have a very long conversation. There's no excuse for what I've done. 2 years ago, I used false evidence to obtain a guilty verdict. That's what it all breaks down to, and nothing I do can erase that fact. But you didn't know, did you? I mean, that the evidence was falsified. The police department and the prosecutor's office share a bond of trust. If that bond is broken, we stand to lose everything. The police department's error is my error. My responsibility as the prosecutor in charge. That fact remains the same no matter what excuses I might have. Mr. Edgeworth? I take pride in my work. So tell me why. Why has it all come to this? Even Edgeworth can't keep this kind of emotion bottled up. Yeah, he seems really upset by all this. Are you up for the trial tomorrow? Huh. First last year's trial, and now this one. It seems all you do is worry about me. To be honest, you're getting on my nerves. But Mr. Edgeworth, you can't just walk out on the trial. Tomorrow is the last day. It's too late to change prosecutors. I'll bet that's what my superiors are banking on. I I never thought that case would come back to haunt me like this. What do you mean? The list of evidence. It seems too short. Most lists run twice as long. It's only half as long as most lists? That's odd. After Neil Marshall was murdered, I became prosecutor for that case. I may not have been part of the investigation, but I knew what I had to do. Use the evidence I was given to prove the suspect guilty. That was really the only thing on my mind at the time. Say, we just saw a picture taken around that time. That picture, something seems strange about it. Could you tell us again about what happened that day? The day Detective Goodman was murdered? You were participating in a ceremony over at the station, right? I've never cared for ceremonies, but I had to attend that one. Because you were awarded this? Those receiving awards can't exactly skip out on the ceremony. That's right, it would be kind of rude, right? I finished up at the office in the morning, then drove over to the police department. You finished up at the office? Yes, just odds and ends, clerical stuff. I didn't plan on returning to the office that day. That is, until I was asked to take something back. Take something back? This. Oh yeah! Chief Gant asked you to hold on to that, didn't he? Yes. It was a piece of evidence in a case that was closed half a year ago. He asked me to bring it back to the prosecutor's office. That's the story we heard yesterday. So you came back here to the prosecutor's office because the chief asked you to? That's right. Okay, well let's go ahead and show him that team picture. He seemed to respond a little bit. Is it this one? No, that's the evidence plans. Here we go. Let's show him this picture. See if he has anything to say about it. This picture was hanging on the wall in Chief Gant's office. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He had just started making a name for himself. Looks like this was taken when he received the King of Prosecutors trophy. Speaking of that, there's something that bothers me. Yes? The trophy Mr. Marshall is holding? It's a little different than yours. Yes, you're right. Ah, I remember now. Remember what? That was what the official prosecutor's trophy looked like until 2 years ago. There's a story behind its design. A story? Sounds interesting. Would you mind telling it to us? It's simple, really. Contradiction. That's what the award's based on. Do you have more to say? Aha! This award originates from an ancient Chinese tale. In Chinese, the word contradiction is written with 2 characters. The first means halberd, and the second means shield. Have you heard this story? Me? Oh, sure. Everyone knows that. Why don't you tell it, though? For Emma's sake. Right, Phoenix. Very well. Long ago in the kingdom of Chu, there was an arms merchant. One day he presented the king with 2 items. The first was a halberd he claimed could slice through any shield or armor. The second was a shield he claimed could withstand any weapon. Wait a minute. Those claims contradict each other. Very perceptive. But then again, you've heard this story before, right? Anyway, as you mentioned, The very descriptions of these items discredit them both. When the king pointed this out, the merchant was left speechless. And thus, the Chinese word for contradiction was born. Oh man, what a burn, right? For the word for contradiction is named after you, like, overselling your weapons and your shields. Wow, that would be really humiliating. Okay. Oh, I see. So the chipped shield and broken knife symbolize... Precisely so. They symbolize the merchant's items. The ancient tale ends with the merchant at a loss for words. But it's in our nature to pursue matters to their conclusion, even if it results in something as ugly as this. Wow, thanks, Mr. Edgeworth. I learned something new today. That's funny. If that's so, then why were you only given a shield? You'll have to ask Chief Gant. 2 years ago, he had the halberd part of the award abolished. Chief Gant. Alright, so the King of Prosecutors trophy has been updated in the court record. So Chief Gant 2 years ago removed the halberd, which kind of looked a little bit like the broken switchblade, didn't it? A little bit. Right? Let's take a look at this stuff again. Not this knife here, but this one here. It sort of had a broken tip on it, just like that. Right? Let's take a closer look at it. You see it's got like a chipped angle, just like the switchblade. I wonder if that's significant in some way. We'll have to keep it in mind. It'll probably come back up if it's relevant. Alright, let's go back. Okay. Let's go ahead and... Is there anything else to look at in here? Have I missed anything? Maybe it's worth looking around a little bit. Let's examine stuff. Hey, wait a minute. What's this? Piece of trash on the ground. That's not like Edgeworth at all. I wonder what he was writing before. Come on, Mr. Wright. Let's take a look. Are you crazy? Edgeworth is sitting right there. Just distract him. I'll check it out. Hey, Edgeworth. Is that Detective Gumshoe out the window there? Oh no, he's falling to the ground. Hold on. First, let me see what this girl's doing crawling around my feet. Nice job, Phoenix. He didn't even look. What? Letter of... If you're having trouble reading, I'll read it for you. It says, letter of resignation. Oh no, you can't resign, dude. Resignation? Edgeworth, you don't mean... I'm tired, right? I feel as if something inside me has died. But Mr. Edgeworth, none of it is your fault. I know the path I've walked. You don't need to tell me. And the path I've walked hasn't been a just one. I can't forgive myself for what I've done. And no one else should forgive me either. Uh-oh, I think he's serious. Mr. Wright, please, you have to do something. This letter of resignation. I wonder if I can use it for anything. Okay. This letter of resignation is now in the court record. I wonder if I can examine it any closer? Well, let's click on it here, see if it does anything. Due to recent events, I hereby announce my resignation as public prosecutor. He really wrote a resignation letter. Wow, even when resigning, Mr. Edgeworth was cool and concise. Still, it wasn't his fault. Someone has to be held responsible. That's how it is in the grown-up world. Yeah, but that responsibility means nothing if he just quits. Well, not everyone sees it that way. To truly take responsibility, you should have to work the rest of your life for no pay. Wow! Work the rest of your life with no pay. That's really asking a lot. He didn't even do it on purpose. He didn't know. Yeah, don't quit, Edgy. That's one tough grown-up world out there. Wow. We can zoom in and zoom out, huh? I guess I haven't really done a whole lot of this. He just signs his name MIL. What a cool guy. What a cool guy. Okay. Alright, well, I think we have done everything we can do here with Edgeworth. He is not particularly helpful, so maybe we should go back to the police department and see if they have any updated information for us. So let's go to the underground parking lot first. Ah, something new. Excuse me. Ah, it's the lunch lady again. Would either of you care for a quarter pound of roast beef? Ms. Starr, I guess she's out of lunches. You certainly are the curious sort, aren't you? Kind of like the first person who sucked a cow's nipple to discover milk. Yeah, I don't know if that's exactly how that went down, but that person must have been a little strange. Still, I never thought you'd go digging up that case from 2 years ago. Everyone in this trial was involved in the SL9 incident. Not only that, but the murder occurred on the very day the evidence from that case was due for transferal. This can't all be attributed to mere coincidence. Aren't you forgetting something? You know, that little scene I happened to witness? The instant Lana stabbed Detective Goodman with a knife. No matter how much of the past you dig up, it won't change what I saw. Roast beef is meant to be savored when eaten. Miss Starr's hatred towards Lana. Yeah, she's really mad. It all dates back to 2 years ago. Alright, tell us about the investigation. Joe Dark. That's a name I'll not sooner forget. We trailed him for half a year. Oh, the pressure. Still, I don't think I was ever more alive than then. Those days were steamier than a bowl of hot gravy. Poor old Jake Marshall, though, must have been going through hell. You mean because of his brother's death? They were close, those two. After Neil died, something took over Jake. He became obsessed. Seeing Jake like that made her all the more desperate. Her? Lana Skye. My sister? The best of the best were put on that SL9 case. Of course, they were led by that legendary duo. Lana and Chief Gant. That legendary pair was the reason we were able to keep up our investigation. That's why we were so shocked over how it turned out. You mean, with the forging of the evidence? Don't get me wrong, Joe Dark got what he deserved. Still, it was obvious the evidence produced in court was being manipulated. Items our team never found would suddenly appear while other items were kept secret. But you don't have any proof anything illegal was done. I'm proof enough of what happened. After that case, all of us, save Goodman, were relieved of our duties. Most without even so much as an explanation. Then, Lana Skye transferred to the prosecutor's office and became chief prosecutor. Lana always wanted to be a prosecutor. Nothing's quite as simple as it appears. Huh? Lana Skye was merely being used as a pawn. That's my take on the matter. She was being used? Damon Gant and Lana Skye. Gant led the investigation, with Lana second in command. They were the best. They solved all kinds of cases together, didn't they? Damon Gant's magnetism in particular was almost unreal. His magnetism? By that I mean his ability to attract evidence. He'd produced the most incredible evidence in the cases he'd handled. Incredible evidence? You mean... Oh yes. There were rumors about him even back then. No one dared confront him, though. I take it she's talking about forged evidence. Back then, everyone looked up to Lana. All the detectives wanted to be like her. Really? Oh yes, myself included. I was a fool, really. She hated anything crooked and always watched out for the other detectives. That's why she was so concerned for Jake. Mr. Marshall. When Jake's brother was murdered, she felt as if she had lost her own brother. If it wasn't for her, I don't think Jake would have ever recovered from his shock. That's what makes it all the more infuriating. Miss Starr. That's why. I'll never be able to forgive her. Why did she have to turn so cold after that? Lana transferred to the prosecutor's office 2 years ago, didn't she? Yes, thanks to Chief Gant's powerful influence. Chief. That's right. Having solved the SL9 case, his position as chief was secured. There was only one thing left for him to control. And then no one could stand in his way. The prosecutor's office. What? You mean, that's why Lana was transferred? If he could control the chief prosecutor, he could control the prosecutor's office. That must have been his goal all along. But how could he control Lana? I don't know, but one thing's for sure. Ever since that case ended, she's never been the same. It's only logical to conclude there must have been a reason for her to change. At last, I'm finally getting close to the bottom of this ugly mess. Thank you, Miss Starr. You listen to me, rookie. It takes more than just ingredients to create fine cuisine. I hope you turn out to be a better chef than I've been. Alright, okay. Well, it sounds like we got some more background on this dark investigation and all the drama between the players in this case. Let's go ahead and move on down to the police department, right? I think the police department is a good place for us to go next. No one is here. Well, then I guess maybe if we actually go in. Aha! Here we go. Here we go. It's always a good sign when you see a new title card there. Oh, you're back. Hey, Detective Gumshoe. You're still here? I gotta make 150 copies of these files. Brewing coffee, copying files. I'm turning into a regular DJ. A DJ? You're a DJ as well? If I'm not mistaken, I think he means desk jockey. Ah, yes. Yes, well, that's probably his least favorite part of the job, I would suspect, as a detective. doing all the paperwork, all the administrative stuff that police officers have to do behind the scenes. That's the boring part of the job that never seems to make it into the TV shows, right? Well, I can understand. Oh, that DJ. I gotta admire your persistency, but my answer's still no. Huh? I'm not letting you in the chief's office, period. It'd be my neck on the line. That office is the last crime scene in the SL9 incident. I have to take a look in there. There's gotta be something we can do to make the detective change his mind. Is there anything we can do? Well, we already talked to him about everything. What about the deal with Edgeworth? Well, maybe it would be compelling to him if he saw that Edgeworth was thinking about quitting his job, right? Let's show him this letter. What's this crumpled up piece of paper? No way! Mr. Edgeworth can't be serious! Is he ever not serious? I can't believe they pushed him this far. Mr. Edgeworth really feels responsible. When I first met him, I thought he was as cold as ice, too. But I know different now. He trusted us detectives to provide him with sound evidence. But we betrayed him. Detective. That's it. I've made up my mind. But... Here, take my ID card. Oh, he's given us his ID card. This is a pretty bold move. He could get in big trouble for this. We can't do that. If someone found out, they wouldn't let you off the hook with another lost item report. Look at me. It's no secret I'm already out of the loop. After all, I'm friends with Mr. Edgeworth. Depending on how this case turns out, I may already be as good as terminated. What? So at least let me do this, for Mr. Edgeworth's sake. Oh, Gumshoe, putting himself on the line a bit here. But he may already be gone if he doesn't do this, right? All right, detective. Thank you. Okay, so this allows us access to areas of the police department open to detectives. Excellent. So now that we have this, are we able to move into the chief's office again? Okay, let's take a look. Here goes, Mr. Wright. Looks like Gumshoe's ID worked. Thank you, Gumshoe. Man, this place is super creepy, isn't it? We're in! If anyone finds us now, Detective Gumshoe's a goner. That happens, I'm counting on you to bail me out. Ah! They scared each other. Sorry, I thought you were a ghost. I didn't even know you could slap a ghost. Oh, Detective Gumshoe. What are you doing sneaking up on us like that? I wasn't sneaking. I was just worried something might go wrong. So I came too. If you're here, then what's the point in giving us your ID card? Gumshoe's ID crushed and rendered unusable in pocket. Hey, why did you do that? Hey, don't do that to my card. That's very wasteful, Phoenix, and very impulsive to destroy that ID card. I hardly ever get a chance to come in here. So I figured I'd have a look around myself. Besides, we're all in this together now. You really do want to get fired, don't you? Not if we're lucky. Now come on, let's see what we can find out. Got a bad feeling about this. Alright, well, let's examine this place a little bit here, see what's going on. Looks like there's a safe. This is a safe, isn't it? Safe. That word is ripe with intrigue. Okay, if you say so. It looks like a code needs to be entered into this panel to open it. We need to enter a code, huh? A 7-digit number. I think I just might know what it is. I know what it is. Input the number. Do you know what it is? I have a hunch. Oh, I know. You want to try my birth date? It's... No, we don't want to try your birth date. I have a better idea. Here goes nothing. Alright, I think I know what the code is. I think the code might be the chief's ID number. Right? Because those are also 7-digit numbers. And his code is 7 sevens, right? So I think that makes the most sense logically. Let's go ahead and input 7 7 7 7 7 7 7. Is this gonna work? Yeah! Hey, what did I tell you? What did I tell you? Bingo! What number did you enter? Whose birthday was that, pal? 777 7777. The final ID card number on that record. What? The number of the mysterious executive officer who entered the room that day. You mean 77777777? That ID number? I think you're 1 7 shy this time. This can only mean one thing. That's Chief Gant's ID number. Say, anyone care to look inside? Yeah, let's go ahead and take a peek, right? What's in there? Is there any money in there? How much does he have stashed away? Look, it's a shard from a broken cup. Hey, I think this is the missing piece from that vase or jar or whatever it was that we assembled earlier, right? This somehow looks familiar. Where have I seen this before? There's something else in here too. What's this? It looks like a piece of leather cloth. Oh, there's a handprint on here. This is a handprint, isn't it? Hey, I saw someone wearing a shirt like that once. You think the Chiefs made up the design? I don't think so. Oh, well, it was just a thought. Is that it? This is all that was in the safe? Apparently so. It's empty now. A piece of cloth with a handprint on it and a broken shard from a cup. They look like pieces of evidence. Yeah, but unless you could prove they have something to do with this case, I'm afraid I can't just let you take them. After all, it's my neck on the line here. Great. Now I have to prove their relevancy to get them. How are these two items related to the SL9 incident? Come on, there's gotta be something we can show the detective. Alright, well, we have done our best to locate stuff here. Oh, let's take a look at this knight real quick here, too. I think this is the picture. This is the real deal, isn't it? This armor and these weapons? Sure is, pal. The chief doesn't care for imitations. First the pipe organ, now this armor. Do you know how many taxpayer dollars must have gone into this room? What? You mean we're paying for this? That's it. I'm not paying 1 cent of my taxes. There you go, Emma. You don't have any taxes to pay. Well, that's true. She doesn't have a job. She's a high school student. Shh. Be careful of what you say. Who knows? The chief may be hiding in this armor as we speak. I don't think he'd fit in there. Even if he did, he'd never be able to get back out. Cut it out. You guys don't know how scary that guy can be. Okay, alright, fair enough. Let's see. This is a pretty empty side of the room compared to this side. This is all decorated, has nice stuff. There's a display case here, right? And then on this side, there's basically nothing. There is this picture. Let's take a look at this picture. These shelves are mostly empty. Lana must have cleaned them out when she transferred over to the prosecutor's office. Ah, this makes sense. This was Lana's side of the room, huh? There's a small picture frame on the left shelf. Hey! This is when Lana and I went to that theme park. Aw, there's a picture of her and her sister. This was taken on that day 2 years ago. The day Joe Dark ran out of the questioning room and tried to kill Emma. After receiving his award trophy, Mr. Marshall took a picture here, then went along with Chief Gant to question Dark. I bet he never knew he'd be dead just a few hours later. Yeah, I bet he didn't know either. Gee, you think? Does the computer do anything? This was Lana's desk. It sure is tidy. Lana's always been a meticulous cleaner. There's not even any dust on it. Looks like someone's still keeping it clean. Does Lana ever come back here? No. Chief Gant must still keep it clean in memory of their partnership. They were the stuff legends are made of. Does he keep it in memory of her or in memory of the crime? Yeah, very suspicious, right? Look at this window. Look at that giant window. Makes you want to crash through it and jump outside. Does it make you want to jump through it and crash outside? This is the 15th floor. Yeah, this is not a good plan, Gumshoe. I know, I was just saying. Saying what? Ever since making Detective, I've always dreamed about doing something like that. Note to self, Detective Gumshoe has a lot of dreams. So long as he doesn't go crashing through that window when he gets fired. Don't say that! Oh, that was a dark joke. Okay. Alright, well, let's see if we can talk to Gumshoe. Yeah. That desk on the other side of the room, was that your sister's? Yes, that's where I was waiting for Lana. On that day 2 years ago, so it happened in this room. Is anyone using it now? No, sir. This is entirely Chief Gant's office now, so he maintains his office in the crime scene, maintains control over it. This is extremely suspicious to me. He practices a strict policy of preserving the crime scene. That's a strange reason to leave it there. He leaves it as a warning to everyone else. He wants us to always be alert. He told us so himself at our New Year's party. Of course, he was pretty intoxicated at the time. I see. So ever since Lana left, no one ever touches that desk? No one except Chief Gant and the cleaning lady who's in here each morning. Still, 2 years have passed since that incident. There can't possibly be any clues remaining. I bet there are. Can I ask you something? Sure. You only came here to look around, right? Because it's one of the SL9 crime scenes. I mean, that's your only reason for coming here, isn't it? Why do you ask? You don't think... Nah, you wouldn't be... No... No, there's no way! Never mind, don't worry about it. Okay, now then, let's look around a bit more. Hey, hold on, not so fast, buddy! Huh? What is it? When someone tells you don't worry about it, it's supposed to start bothering you, pal. You don't just let it go at that. Sorry. This guy's starting to get on my nerves. Okay, so what's bothering you? You two don't think Chief Gant might be a suspect, do you? What? He's right, Mr. Wright. What do we think of him? Chief Gant. So it's finally come to this. What do I think of him? Perhaps it's best I don't divulge my feelings yet. There you go, ignoring me again. Okay. Alright, well, I think the only way for us to proceed from here is to present evidence to Gumshoe that the items in the safe are related to the SL9 incident, right? So, I think perhaps we might want to present something in our inventory here. And do we have anything good? Ah, yes! I think presenting this unstable jar would be helpful because I think that piece that's in the safe looks like it belongs to this jar. So let's present this and see if he says anything. Detective Gumshoe, could you have another look at this jar? I remember when the three of us put that back together. Those were the days. It's kind of early to be nostalgic. Yeah, we're still in the same case. You can't be nostalgic about it quite yet. Wasn't this jar a piece of evidence from that case? That's right. One of the shards had an SL9 incident sticker on it. Doesn't this ring any bells? You know, that fragment we just found? You mean this one that was in the safe? Yes, that one that was in the safe. Now that you mention it, it's ringing a lot of bells. Let's see if it fits. Yeah, let's see if it fits is right. Here, let me see that shard. I'll take a crack at this. Go ahead, pal. Show us what a rookie can do. Mr. Wright, here's some glue. If I can piece this together again, it'll prove Chief Gant was knowingly hiding evidence. Here goes. All right. Well, let's see if we can't get this attached. I think it just goes like this, right? Wow, look at that. This is a very strange looking jar. There, it fits like a charm. That, of course, means Chief Gant willingly and knowingly had a piece of this jar in his safe. In other words, he concealed a piece of evidence from the SL9 incident. But, hey guys, get a load of this. What is it? This piece you just attached? It's different from the others. Ooh, what's going on here? There's a reddish line on it. A reddish line? That's blood. I don't get it. Why would Chief Gant hide this in his safe? Wow, traces of blood. I wonder if they're traces of his blood. Or something implicating Chief Gant, huh? We should maybe inspect it. Is there anything that we can do? Ah, we could click on it. Hey, look here. It's hard to make out, but there's a dark red stain here. Looks like blood. This piece the chief has is different, though. The blood stains on the other pieces are just spots. But this one's a line. That is odd. Huh. That is really strange, isn't it? Okay. Well, what else was in the safe? There was that piece of cloth, and I think the piece of cloth looked like it had a handprint on it, right? So maybe we should present this? Detective Gumshoe, I'd like you to have a look at this. Hey, I know what this is. So, you want to take some fingerprints? That's a great idea, Detective. All right, go to town. Sheesh. What are you doing? Why are you sticking out your hand like that? Go ahead, take my fingerprints. It's not your fingerprints we want to take. Huh? Come on, this isn't the time for jokes. We're talking about that cloth we found in the safe. Oh, I knew that. The one with the handprint on it, right? Sheesh, where's your sense of humor? Okay, Mr. Wright, let's check for prints. Sprinkle the powder on the cloth. Then, once they've been absorbed into the prints, blow the rest away. What are you, my mom? I don't have to be told a million times. Alright, let's get this over with. Okay, so we gotta drop the dust. Oops. I don't see anything here, but maybe that's intentional? Alright, let's blow this away. Hey, look at this. I gave it my best shot. That kind of result won't be any good for matching prints, will it? But it doesn't look like we'll get a clearer result from this print. Okay, let's try a different finger then. Ah, okay, so let's try the thumbprint. Did we do this one already? I'll pay closer attention to where I'm clicking. Alright. Let's go ahead and blow this away. Okay, the thumbprint. I gave it my best shot. That kind of result won't be any good for matching prints, will it? But it doesn't look like we'll get a clearer result from this print. Okay, let's try a different finger then. Maybe the middle finger, right? Dusting, dusting. So much dust. All over the place, this dust. Alright, so much dust. Let's try blowing it away now. Ooh, look at that fingerprint. I like that one. That's much better. Let's make sure it comes out nice and clean. Just be super extra with all this dust. There we go. Okay, so now we gotta match this print to someone. So, looking at Damon Gant, it doesn't look like Damon Gant. Does it look like Officer Meekins? No, it doesn't look like Meekins. Is it Jake Marshall? No, not Jake Marshall. Could it be Bruce Goodman? No, doesn't look like Bruce Goodman. Please don't let it be Gumshoe. No, it's not Gumshoe. Doesn't look like Gumshoe's prints. Is it Lana's? No? No, I don't think it's Lana's either. Emma Scott. Wait a minute. This looks like Emma's fingerprint. I think this is Emma's fingerprint here. Oh my gosh, okay. The computer's checking it out. What does the computer say? We have a match. No, how can this be? What are Emma's fingerprints doing here? Hey, you found a match? Whose fingerprints were they? Huh? Oh, it seems the prints are too old. They aren't clear enough to get a match. Oh, that's too bad. I thought they'd be Dark's prints. Psst. Hey, you. Over here. What's going on here? What are that kid's prints doing inside the chief's safe? Don't ask me. Let's just keep this information from Emma for now. Why would you keep this information from her? You trying to shelter her from this? Why? Here, maybe you should hold on to this. Okay, so Emma's prints were on this cloth that is in Chief Gant's safe. Very suspicious. Well, is there anything else we're missing here? Oh, we can look out the window. We could look at the desk. Wow, look at the size of Chief Gant's desk. Speaking of that, when we were here earlier... Oh, it's you two. Chief Gant. He put that paper he was reading in his desk. I wonder what he was reading. This looks like a list of evidence. A list of evidence? In most cases, the list runs twice as long as this, though. Wait a minute, I'm having a little deja vu. What about you? Yeah, I think this belongs to the evidence list we had before that we just noticed was half as long as it ought to be, right? Hey, look at the case name. Huh? SL9 incident. I wonder what this is doing here. Hold on, detective. What did you just say? I said, I wonder what... No, about evidence lists. Normally they're twice as long? That's right. I guess there wasn't a lot of evidence. A half-sized list of evidence. The list of evidence. It seems too short. Most lists run twice as long. What would the other half of the list be doing here? I knew it. The chief must be hiding something about that case. It would appear so. Okay, so this evidence list was ripped in half, so this is all I've got. Well, was I any help? Of course. Thanks to your ID card, we were able to get some hard evidence. Now that's not very kind, is it? Who is this? In other words, if it wasn't for his ID card, he would have been useless. Isn't that right, you in the coat? It's Gant! Eee! Chief Gant! We didn't think you'd be back so soon. Fortunately, I'm a man who believes in signs. As I was walking to my meeting, I happened to look out a window and saw a stray dog run right into a pole. Just then I thought of a certain detective. Do you mean me, sir? Now then, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you all to leave. Yes, sir. Sorry. Oh, you in the coat. Me, sir? Drop off your ID on the way out. You won't be needing it anymore. No! Edgeworth! Oh, no, dude, he got fired. Edgeworth, I'm so sorry, bro. But, sir... Now get out. Oh, he's scary. Yes, sir. We'll be on our way too, then. Wait. You, the one without the spiky hair. Don't go yet. Me, sir? I'd like a word with you. But sir, I'm not a licensed scientific investigator yet. You with the spiky hair, you're free to go. Mr. Wright! Phoenix, you can't leave her. Look, pal, if I've told you once, I've told you 1,000 times. The chief's office is off limits. But no, you just had to go sneaking in there like that, didn't you? I thought you said you didn't care anymore if you were fired. Yeah, but if I knew it'd be like this, I would have never said it. Now that I've seen the evidence Chief Gant was hiding in his office, I think that I'm finally starting to get the picture. But why has she kept so eerily silent about it all this time? Anyway, you listening to me? I'm gonna try to smooth things over with the chief again. Later, pal. After that, I heard from Emma. She said the police wanted to ask her some questions, so she'll be busy for the rest of the day. Oh gosh, I hope she's okay. We're automatically sent to the visitor's room here, huh? I see. So the chief asked Emma to come in for questioning. It's no use thinking about it. Tomorrow's the final day in court. I'm committed to doing everything I can to defend you, which is why I'm here. But I've already told you all I can. What you've told me over and over these past couple of days is absolutely nothing, not a single useful thing. Really? I believe I did mention something quite important. Something I told you right at the beginning. I said that I was the one who stabbed Detective Goodman. You know, I think I finally figured it out. I know who it is that's lurking behind your words. Mia did a good job mentoring you. I'm rather jealous. It seems Edgeworth was right. Edgeworth? Once you're convinced you know something, no one can persuade you otherwise. Thick-headed is the term he used, I believe. Now's my chance to get her to tell me the rest of the story. All right. I have to admit I was more than a little perplexed at first. You insisted you did it, yet there was no incriminating evidence. That's when it hit me. It's not that you're unwilling to tell the truth. It's that you're incapable of doing so because of a certain individual. What an intriguing notion. A certain individual, you say. So you think I'm protecting this person? Protecting? No, I think afraid of is more like it. If I'm not mistaken, the person in question may have persuaded you to silence. For argument's sake, Mr. Wright, who may I ask is this person you're speaking of? The one I am supposedly so frightened of. What is this person's name? Who is she afraid of? I think probably Damon Gant, right? Well, Miss Skye? Ooh. Mr. Wright, you are addressing the chief prosecutor. Do not forget your place. Oh, she's trying to pull rank with us now. But we're not on the same side, so I take it she's still not ready to spill the beans. My apologies. Could you please tell me a bit more about what you think you know? We were partners until 2 years ago. I respected him as a detective. Assuming he is respectable, then tell me something. Why would he try to hide his crimes? His crimes? Both you and Edgeworth would be brought before a board of inquiry for what you did. Specifically, hiding and forging evidence. Of course, these are serious offenses. Why is it, though, that Chief Gant's name was never mentioned? Chief Gant? Edgeworth didn't know the truth behind the forgery. The only party who could have possibly tampered with the evidence was me. I had access because I was second in command of that investigation. Yes, you, but also one other, Damon Gant. If you intend to accuse Chief Gant, you'll need more than just words. Show me proof that Chief Gant falsified evidence in that case. Okay, well, what about the jar, right? This weird jar that we found the final fragment in Chief Gant's safe, so he was concealing this evidence from the rest of the investigation, huh? I just found this in a safe in the chief's office. This jar piece and this piece of cloth. Do you know what these are? They're pieces of evidence from the SL9 incident. The person concealing evidence was none other than Chief Gant himself. Now tell me, why are you taking all the blame for him? Touché, Mr. Wright. It's as you surmised. I cannot disobey the Chief's orders, even if it means being found guilty for murder. Why not? Come now, Mr. Wright, you can't possibly expect me to be able to tell you that. 3 days ago, I had no choice but to cooperate in the murder of Detective Goodman. Or perhaps I should say, follow orders. Yes, that's more accurate than cooperate. Although I can't tell you the details, I can say that I was given an order that day. I need you to dispose of Bruce Goodman's body. You'll find it inside the trunk of Miles Edgeworth's car. So someone ordered her to dispose of the body, just as I suspected. Despite what everyone believes, you were not the one who murdered Detective Goodman. Correct. I was trying to take the body out of Edgeworth's car. The trunk's lock was broken, and I discovered that murder weapon while inspecting the body. The murder weapon? You mean Edgeworth's knife? No. When I found the body, this was the knife stuck in it. The knife from the SL9 incident, serial killer Joe Dark's knife. I couldn't just leave that knife in him, so I took it out and stabbed him with another knife. That would be Edgeworth's knife? That's right. Even though he was already dead, my hands were shaking at the thought of stabbing him. Wow! So she took a corpse out of Edgeworth's trunk, right? And then took the knife, the switchblade, out of the corpse and used Edgeworth's knife to stab it again. This is really gruesome. Okay. That's why I ended up cutting my hand. Well, yeah, I can see how you could cut your hand. You're handling a bunch of knives here. And that is the reason for the bandage on your right hand? Yes. It seems that I got blood on the victim's shoes as well. And then she saw me just as I plunged the knife in. Miss Starr, huh? Why did you need to hide Dark's knife so badly? It took a lot of work to finally close the Dark case 2 years ago. It was over with. I didn't ever want it to be opened again. My intent was to prevent that by whatever means possible. So, you hid Dark's knife? The weapon used to stab the detective was evidence in the Joe Dark case. If word got out, which it would, the reporters would have a field day with that. So, you wrapped the knife in your scarf and hid it in Edgeworth's exhaust pipe. Right. Then I called my sister to tell her what happened and to ask her to hide the knife that was inside my muffler. You asked Emma? I didn't want anyone on the force to know about this. That would explain why Emma is so confident about Lana's innocence. Speaking of phone calls, I had a bad feeling about one of them that day. A bad feeling? The truth is, after I received those orders from Chief Gant, the first thing I did was make a phone call. A phone call to Patrolman Jake Marshall. To Marshall? Why on earth would you call him? The lead investigator for the SL9 incident had been murdered. I wanted that fact to be kept hidden, and I needed help. He was the only other person I could trust. Or at least, I thought I could trust him at the time. However, It seems that after I spoke to him, he went off on an escapade of his own. Oh, you mean... Not wanting the case to die, he decided to take things into his own hands. He disguised himself as Detective Goodman and tried to steal the evidence. He had already stolen the ID card, but it seems he still hadn't made up his mind to break into the evidence room. After my phone call, any remaining doubts he must have had disappeared. So your phone call caused the incident in the evidence room? I'm afraid that's all I can tell you. But Lana, you've earned my respect, Mr. Wright, both as a defense attorney and an investigator. Now please, don't pursue this any further in court tomorrow. Tomorrow's trial, there's only one way to drive off Lana's demons. I've got to get to the bottom of everything. Detective Goodman's real murderer. And what went down in the chief's office 2 years ago. Yeah, there's so much going on here. Well, it's got to be time for us to save again, right? Okay, saved our game. Let's get back into it here. We're already back in court. No rest for the weary. Okay. This is the defendant lobby, all right, but there's no defendant. I've been trying to reach Lana all morning. Where could she be? And where's Emma, for that matter? It almost seems as if something's been happening behind the scenes. Edgeworth! Yeah, Edgeworth! Knowing you, you've already figured it out. Who the owner of the 777-7777 ID number is, that is. Well, I have a pretty strong hunch. Looks like I'm not the only one who's figured it out. You know, the only reason this trial didn't reach a verdict yesterday is because there was still room for doubt regarding this ID record. If that number does belong to whom you suspect, then no doubt will remain. After all, he hasn't been officially charged with anything. True, not yet. In any event, once all doubt has been removed from that list, I can call for a ruling. 5 minutes, Mr. Wright, and Chief Prosecutor Skye will be found guilty. But she didn't do it! I figured you'd say as much. That's why I came here, to hear what you have to say. This is the first time he's ever done something like this. Lana's hiding something, and the only way we'll ever know the truth is to draw it out of her. The truth? Everything goes back to the SL9 incident. Don't be stupid. Today's the last day of the trial. We don't have time to reminisce about the past. That depends on you. If she's found guilty, you'll lose your only chance to find out what really happened. I'll think about it. See you in court, right? Wow, okay. This is it, and it sure is. It's our last day in court, right? If I'm ever gonna find out what Chief Gant has on her, it's now. All right. Back in courtroom number 9. Court is now in session for the trial of Ms. Lana Skye. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. Normally, this is when the prosecution puts forth its opening statement. But before that, the police chief has a proposal to make. Chief Gant. Morning, folks. How's everyone doing? Hey, Edgy. Been back on the pool? Been back to the pool yet? Wow, he's always talking about swimming, isn't he? No, I've been drowning enough as it is in my work. Oh, that's a good one. Don't think I can top that. If you don't mind me asking, Chief, exactly what is this proposal of yours? Lana, that is to say the defendant, has asked me if she could speak directly to the court. She wants to do what? No. As your attorney, I advise against it, Lana. Come on, Phoenix, you need to object to this. This doesn't make any sense. Having heard what she intends to say, I feel she should be granted her request. In the end, it should save everyone a lot of time and trouble. What's this all about, defendant? I'd just like to make one simple request and I'll be finished. Well then, what's your request? Your Honor, I'd like you to put an immediate end to this trial. Huh? I confess to all charges against me. On February 21st of this year, I murdered Detective Bruce Goodman in the underground parking lot of the prosecutor's office. No, Lana! Yeah, finally! You can't! Your Honor, the defendant's claim does not change the defense's plea. In that case, Mr. Wright, I no longer require your services. But Lana! Your Honor, I hereby forfeit my right to an attorney. What are you doing, girl? No, don't do any of this stuff. This is terrible. The prosecution may lack direct evidence against me, but it has sufficiently proven its case through testimony and circumstantial evidence. I would like you to render your verdict now, if you please. Huh. Well, the defendant certainly has the right to self-representation. Her request is legally valid, although this is an unprecedented situation. Indeed, it appears there's no further need to continue this trial, even if Mr. Wright may feel otherwise. This can't be happening. It appears the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant... No, dude! Oh, thank goodness. One moment, Your Honor. Mr. Edgeworth, the prosecution has not yet proven the defendant guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Any ruling at this stage would certainly be premature. Come now, Worthy. I understand this is a difficult time for you, but why don't you just be a good little boy and keep your mouth shut, hmm? No. Huh. I don't think I care for your tone, Chief Gant. What? Creating another fabrication to cover up your past mistakes? Sorry, but I'm no longer the naive little boy you would have me be. With this sudden confession from the defendant, it's obvious to me some kind of deal was struck behind the scenes. Some kind of deal, huh? Not everyone operates as you do, Worthy. Huh. I thought so. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to change its first witness. Oh? To whom? As its first witness, the prosecution would like to call Miss Emma Skye. I request the court hears her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, I am exercising my right to self-representation. I don't think we need to continue. I don't care what you think, Miss Skye. The exposure of truth sometimes results in tragedy. However, no matter how tragic the truth may be, it would be an even greater tragedy to avert one's eyes from it. That's right, you gotta face the truth. Very well. The court shall grant the prosecution's request. That's okay with you, right, Chief Gant? Worthy, you'll live to regret this. Mark my words. Oh, that doesn't sound good, threatening my boy. You can't say things like that. Ms. Emma Skye, please take the stand. Looks like Edgeworth has decided to take the horse by the reins. I know, this is getting really crazy now. Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. My name is Emma Skye. My occupation? I'm Lana's little sister, and I want to be a scientific investigator. 2 years ago, you encountered the serial killer Joe Dark of the Joe Dark killings. Is this correct? Yes. I'm trying my hardest to forget about that, though. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to recall those events one more time. Mr. Edgeworth, please remember this trial concerns the murder of Detective Goodman. Is an incident that was resolved 2 years ago really all that relevant? Yes, it most certainly is. Well, okay then. He sure gave in fast. Yeah, I agree. Now, please testify about what happened to you 2 years ago. The trip to yesteryear has finally begun. It's bound to lead to the truth behind this trial. I was waiting in my sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me, but I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest. It's a good thing you weren't harmed. I passed out. I don't remember much. That's understandable. However, please tell me, Mr. Edgeworth, what does this testimony have to do with Detective Goodman's murder? That will soon become apparent, Your Honor. You've got to admire him for his courage, considering he has no evidence. Very well, the defense may begin its cross-examination. I was waiting in my sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me. But I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. Oh, yeah? Why don't you tell us more then? Can you tell us about that? Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark. Just then, the lights went out. The lights? It was just about this time of year. There was a terrible storm going on, and lightning struck nearby. So the electricity went out? Wait a minute. If it was pitch dark in that room, you shouldn't have been able to see anything, right? Right. But just then, lightning flashed again outside. That sudden flash left an unforgettable image of the scene in my mind. I see. I told the detective about what I saw then. The detective? Yes, Detective Goodman. He was in charge of the case. Detective Bruce Goodman, the victim. Alright, well, let's hear more. So you spoke with Detective Goodman about this 2 years ago. Yes, that's what's so scary about this trial. And you told Detective Goodman about what you saw. Yes, but at the time, the words just wouldn't come out. That's why I drew a picture. A picture? Yes, I think she mentioned that before. Well, Mr. Wright, have you heard enough? I want to know more about this picture, actually, now that you mention it. This picture the witness drew. I believe it has a very important meaning. But the list of evidence I was given 2 years ago didn't contain a picture. Witness, would you mind if we added this statement to your testimony? Yes, Your Honor. I drew a picture of that scene once, but it seems to have been lost. Interesting. Well, I wonder if we have anything that lists that as a piece of evidence. Where's that evidence list? Here, let's get a closer look at this. Oh, I see. It's on the back, this drawing here. Oops, I didn't mean to exit out of it. Let's try that again. Okay. Let's take a closer look here. A picture is drawn on the back of the evidence list in magic marker. I've got a very bad feeling about this. And that's the only thing to look at. Okay, well, let's go ahead and present this. Mr. Edgeworth. This little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. And yet, you would insist on denying its existence? Huh? Hey, I'm not the bad guy. All I'm saying is that, as the prosecutor for that case, I wasn't handed such a picture. That may well be, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Behold, this is the evidence list for the SL9 incident? Please turn it over, Your Honor. Turn it over. Turn it... Ah, what's this? Yes, what is that? Hey, that's it. That's the picture I drew. Indeed. Two men appear to be wrestling here. What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list? Me? Only the prosecutor in charge should have access to that list. Huh? These lists, they're different from each other. What? It would appear, Mr. Edgeworth, that the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete. These two lists fit together to form one. You can see the marks here where they were torn apart from each other. So you see, Mr. Edgeworth, it's quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago, only half of the evidence in that case ever reached you. What? What? Yeah, that is pretty surprising, right? Order, order! But Miss Skye, why did you draw your picture on the back of such an important list? Because that's what Detective Goodman handed me in the questioning room, Your Honor. Wait a minute. If this list was torn in half, then that means... Your Honor. Are you all right, Mr. Wright? Your eyes are bulging from your head. If the evidence list was torn in half, then there might be more of the drawing on the back of Mr. Edgeworth's list. Yes, that's quite conceivable. Mr. Edgeworth? It's possible. Let's see. Is something wrong? Do you even have to ask? Oh, he looks so pissed. Sorry, Your Honor. There is indeed something drawn on the back of my list. It's that thing. Ah, it's the Blue Badger. And they're playing the song. The song sounds like an ice cream truck to me. I don't know about you. Just gonna enjoy it a little bit here. Okay. That's that thing! That thing that was dancing in the evidence room. Clearly, this act of vandalism is the work of a certain chief of detectives. I guess he was out of scrap paper. Evidence list restored and updated in the court record. Very well. Witness. Will you please testify about this picture you drew 2 years ago? Huh? Oh, yes, sir, Your Honor. What's wrong with Emma? she seemed to be thinking about something when she was looking at that picture. This is the picture I drew 2 years ago. The flash of lightning was so bright, all I could see were shadows. After that, I must have fainted. This picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant. To think a flash of lightning could burn such an image in your mind. Thanks to that, though, she was able to show us exactly what she saw. Well, I don't see any contradictions here. This clearly shows Joe Dark about to murder Prosecutor Neil Marshall. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. This is the picture I drew 2 years ago. The flash of lightning was so bright, all I could see were shadows. After that, I must have fainted. This picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant. Exactly, huh? Wait, this looks pretty... It looks like he's holding a ruler or something. It's like squared off here. This doesn't look like something that could be used to stab someone. I'm just surprised she didn't draw more of a knife, you know what I mean? I wonder if there is anything here that might help us. Maybe autopsy report? Where is the autopsy for... Here's Neil's autopsy report. Stabbed in the back, died from punctured heart and lung. A knife tip was in the wound. Well, if the knife tip was in the wound, that means that it must have been whole when he was stabbed, and then it broke off inside his body, right? So, this doesn't make any sense. How could this be squared off in the picture that she drew? But there should have been a tip of a knife. Alright. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this picture the witness drew contains a blatant contradiction. What? But I still remember it just like it was yesterday. Mr. Wright, perhaps it would be faster if you simply pointed out this contradiction for us. What part of this picture contradicts the autopsy report? Alright, well, like I said, there's this knife part, right? The contradiction, of course, lies here. Take a look at the knife the man is holding. If you look closely, you can see its tip is broken. Even I don't have to look closely to see that, Mr. Wright. But Mr. Wright, look at the evidence. See the murder weapon? Its tip is broken too. If I recall, the tip of the knife was found broken off in the victim's body. It was the conclusive piece of evidence that proved Joe Dark was the murderer. I'm afraid it's not so simple, Emma. And where, pray tell, could you possibly see a problem? It's obvious, really. The victim suffered a single stab wound to the back. If the victim was only stabbed once, then the murder weapon should not yet be broken. Yeah, exactly. Ah, what's the meaning of this? Perhaps the knife was broken beforehand. Sorry, but I'm afraid that's not possible. The tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body. If it was broken beforehand, it couldn't possibly wind up there. That's right. But what does this all mean? The tip of the knife was undeniably discovered within the victim's body. The only possible explanation is the witness's memory is mistaken. That's why I asked her so many times if she was sure she remembered correctly. I believe you were annoyed at the time, but she was sure she remembered correctly. But There's no other way to explain this inconsistency. Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. There is another explanation. Have you forgotten already about a little something called falsified evidence? You're treading on thin ice, right? All I'm saying is that this broken knife tip might be the piece of evidence that was forged. You can't deny the possibility. Wow! No. Oh! Yeah, maybe the same thing happened before. Maybe it was a different weapon, and the body was stabbed again with the switchblade. Are you saying the investigation was really was corrupted? Your Honor, please allow me to once again go over the events that took place the day of the murder. The police department and the prosecutor's office were holding a ceremony that day. After receiving the King of Prosecutors Award at the ceremony, Neil Marshall questioned Joe Dark along with Damon Gant. During his questioning, Joe Dark fled the room. Prosecutor Marshall chased after him and was killed by Dark. It is my belief that somewhere in this story, there is a lie. I'm not lying. The man really was holding up a broken knife. If that's true, then there's no other way around it. This could not have been the actual murder weapon. Yeah, exactly. There must have been another broken knife. What are the chances of there being two broken knives? Another broken knife beside Joe Dark's? Could there have been one? That's right, there is one. If the witness is adamant about the accuracy of what she saw, it can't just be explained away by a simple observational error. Mr. Wright, in that instant, Emma really did see a broken knife. I assume, then, that you have some information about this other broken knife. If so, please feel free to enlighten us. The murder weapon was already broken prior to the murder. There's only one way. Take a look at this. Here's the real murder weapon. Okay. Alright, so I think the real murder weapon, it's gotta be the broken halberd that goes with the King of Prosecutors trophy, right? The halberd was removed at Gant's behest 2 years ago. Curious timing, right? But we don't have the halberd on this trophy, so we might have to show it in this photo, right? Because it does show the halberd in this photo. It shows that it's broken. So I think this is the way to go here. Let's go ahead and show the Gant team picture. The answer lies in the past. 2 years in the past. Right here inside this picture. This is a picture of the awards ceremony. Oh! What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? It's the broken murder weapon. Notice the award Prosecutor Marshall is holding. That's a broken knife. As we earlier concluded, the knife in the drawing was not Joe Dark's knife. That being the case, the knife the witness saw was in all likelihood from this award. Wow, so he was killed with his own award. Order, order, order. Neil Marshall was awarded King of Prosecutors that day. As an award, he was given this broken shield and knife. Wow, that is so ironic he was killed by this award. When he chased after Joe Dark, he pulled out this knife. Being a prosecutor, he did not carry a pistol. This broken knife was the only weapon he had in this dangerous situation. Ah, okay, so the knife started out being wielded by Marshall. Okay. But that can't be. Oh, and why not, Mr. Edgeworth? Because if the King of Prosecutors' award knife was the murder weapon, then the murderer and the victim would be reversed. What do you mean? I mean, this man raising a knife would have to have been Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Oh. Whoa! But the prosecutor was the one who actually died. That's true. What's going on here? It seems Mr. Wright has been a bit too eager to jump to conclusions. Wait, I remember now. I remember everything. All right, Emma. Hopefully you remembered something helpful. Witness? Mr. Edgeworth. What is it? Could you show me your evidence list again, please? His list? The one with that picture scribbled on the back? Mm-hmm. I knew it. This picture. I'm the one who drew it. What? You drew that? That's right. The list wasn't torn in half at the time I drew this picture. All this time I've been trying so hard to forget. I must have locked this part away deep inside me. Perhaps it would be best if we added this to the witness's testimony. Would you please tell us what you've recalled, Miss Skye? Yes, Your Honor. First the knife mix-up, and now the blue badger? This should be interesting. He's sweating pretty hard. All right, Emma, tell us what you saw. When I saw that man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed toward both of them. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. Just then, there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the blue badger. He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow. Huh. That's kind of weird. Okay. This is certainly most unusual. Try impossible. The chief of detectives hadn't even designed him until this year. That would mean he didn't even exist 2 years ago. Yes, well, the defense may now begin its cross-examination. Stop, please! Don't pursue this any further! Lana? What's the meaning of this? Please remain seated in the defendant's chair. But you can't do this. I've already confessed to the crime. Why can't you just leave it at that? Chief Prosecutor Skye. We've already come this far. It's too late to turn back. Silence! The defense will now begin its cross-examination. Bailiff, please detain the defendant. It seems we're finally getting to the core of the matter. When I saw that man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed towards both of them. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. Just then, there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the blue badger. He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow. What does that mean? He wasn't in the room, but she saw his shadow. His shadow? So you mean you didn't actually see his face, with its winning smile and all? That's right, but I still remember it. He had 3 creepy horns. This is pointless. That thing couldn't have possibly existed 2 years ago. The witness must be mistaken. That may well be. But what's important is what caused her to think she saw what she did. Oh? And I suppose you have an explanation? If so, then by all means, please tell us what this shadow really was. What was it Emma saw when that lightning flashed? Who is this blue badger, really? Ooh. I just might know. The blue badger hadn't even been dreamed up when Emma drew this picture. That's true, it hadn't even been conceived of yet. Yet she's certain she saw its shadow. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the defense's belief that on that fateful day 2 years ago, there indeed was something that looks similar to the blue badger. Something that is now sitting in this very room. Mr. Wright. In this room? Very well, Mr. Wright. What is it that the witness saw in that instant? Please show us this mysterious blue badger look-alike. All right. Well, something that looks like the blue badger that was in that office. It has to be this jar, right? Is it this jar? It must be. It has to be. Let's present this. The mysterious blue badger was, in fact, this. But that's... what exactly is that? I believe it's some sort of jar. But Mr. Wright, that doesn't look anything like the blue badger. Indeed it doesn't. As it stands now, it's just a plain jar. However, what if we were to change our viewpoint? Okay. Our viewpoint. I've got to show them the correct angle to look at this from. Okay. Well, he's got 3 horns, right? So we probably have to turn it upside down. Is it like this? H, N, B, and M. Okay. See, this is really hard because this is the 3D type stuff that I struggle with. Rotate, right. Is it like this? Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let's go back a little bit. That was starting to kind of look like it. Yeah. I think this angle might be getting close. Let's rotate a little more to straighten it out. I think it's something like this. Let's present it. This isn't right. I've got to make it look more like the badger. Okay, I guess I didn't get it moved in quite the right position, right? Allow me to remind the defense its case hinges on the witness's drawing. If Mr. Wright can't match the shape the witness drew, we cannot accept his claim. I've got to find just the right angle. Maybe I should rotate it vertically a bit more, or horizontally? Come on, Mr. Wright, you can do it. I've got to show them the correct angle to look at this from. Okay, alright, so let's go ahead and rotate it. What was it, this way? Did we need to turn it this way? There we go. Okay. Well, there's all the blood on it, too. and then we rotate it like this, right? I mean, I think this is pretty much dead on, right? No, come on. Come on. Throw me a bone here, you guys. I gotta do this. This is so ironic how this is the hardest part of the game. Okay, wait a minute. What were we doing again? Yeah, we gotta rotate it this way, right? And that's the thing. It shouldn't be tough, right? It really shouldn't be that hard. So like this? Oh my god. Okay, okay, okay. This is really annoying. It's just trying to make me crazy on purpose. Alright, well... Oh no, I didn't mean to present it yet. Oops. Gosh, I'm just screwing it up here. Yeah, it's really not easy to control with the mouse, I can tell you that. Alright, so rotating it this way. You are to rotate right, okay. H, N, M, and B. I just feel like this has got to be it. Am I crazy? Gosh, I just feel like I'm gonna submit this and it's gonna fail me again. Well, I mean... That's as good as it gets, I think. No! Why not? Why not? Tell me why not. Alright. I really don't know. I feel like I'm doing exactly what the game wants me to do here. Right? I feel like it's supposed to be something like this. Because it looks like his hat, right? Man, this is really annoying. Finally! Oh, jeez! Oh man, that was super hard. Why was that so challenging? I feel like I just did the same thing over and over and over, but there must be something really important about how I did it that last time. Well, is this a miracle or what? Yeah, I think it's a miracle. No one can possibly deny this jar's resemblance to the blue badger. No, it can't be. Order! Order! The defense has proven its claim. The mysterious blue badger witnessed on the day of this crime was actually this. Although we all enjoyed Mr. Wright's dramatic performance, one question remains. What's your point? What do you mean? So, that badger thing was actually just a jar. That doesn't change anything. I'm afraid that's where you're wrong, Mr. Edgeworth. You see, this changes everything. Indeed? Very well then, please tell us. What's different now that we know the witness saw this jar? Well, the location, the murder weapon, or the murderer? Well, I guess all of these things. Let's say, the murder weapon. Allow me to take these in turn. At the moment of the murder, the witness saw this jar. At a very specific angle, I might add, Mr. Wright. Yes, well, knowing this, where could she have seen this jar? Where? The location of the jar is shown in a picture taken on the day of the crime. It's on a shelf in the office of Damon Gant. But the body was found lying near Lana Skye's desk. The witness testified so herself. Hey, Buddy Bear, good to see you, dude. Welcome. Hey, you're not late, you're right on time. I'm glad to see you. Yes, and it is these two facts that reveal what actually transpired. Hey, it's Rizo too. Hey, did you guys get a group rate on the Uber? How's it going? I'm just kidding. How y'all doing? Rizo, did you go to Anime Expo today? Did you see anything cool? Y'all are up to such cool stuff. I didn't do anything that interesting today. I just went to the post office and Chipotle, so it was a very boring day for me. Super exhausted? I bet. Cons really take it out of you. Especially the big ones, right? Yeah, Virtue. Well, you know, maybe we'll go next year, Virtue. It's just in Los Angeles, so yeah. And I haven't been in a very long time. I haven't been to Anime Expo since I was in college as an undergrad. But it's so much fun. Okay. You see, the struggle between Dark and Marshall did not take place in Lana Skye's office. It happened on the other side of the room in Chief Gant's office. Ooh, we're getting to the bottom of this mystery. Are you implying the murderer moved the victim's body from Damon Gant's office to Lana Skye's office? Well, they're in the same room. I don't know why they're saying it this way. Like they're two different places. They shared a giant room. Yes. Why would he do that? There's no reason. Exactly. If there wasn't a reason, he would have gone through the trouble. The only logical conclusion is that there was a reason. Do you know what that reason was, Mr. Wright? I finally figured it out. So this is why Lana tried to stop the trial. It's too late to quit now, though. Oh, you like Chipotle? Yeah, you know, it's a pretty easy go-to if you're hungry, I guess. There's one by us that has a drive-thru. They call it the Chipotle Lane. It's kind of cheesy, but still. But it's dope because you can put in your order and then you just go through the drive-thru and pick it up. So it's kind of convenient. All right, it's too late to quit now, though. Please recall the witness's testimony. She said she knocked away the man who was holding up the knife. In the next instant, the jar was hit and flew through the air. Now tell me, what could have sent the jar flying? That would have to have been the impact the man made when he was knocked into the wall. Ladies and gentlemen, if I may draw your attention to this picture once more. If the man was knocked in the direction of the shelf the jar was sitting on, what would he have hit? Ah! The suit of armor, holding a very sharp and dangerous-looking sword. Yes. And since the man who was knocked into the armor was carrying a broken knife, he would have had to have been Neil Marshall, wielding the King of Prosecutors trophy. No, Mr. Wright, you can't be thinking... Exactly, Buddy Bear. This whole game is nothing but wall-to-wall Nickelback references. That's what's really ironic about the whole thing. Yes. There's another possibility of what actually transpired in that room. Another possibility? Of course, the perpetrator would have had no idea, but nevertheless... I don't know if I can go through with this. Mr. Wright, what's the matter? If events took place as the defense theorizes, then the outcome is obvious. In that moment, assuming the man Emma Skye knocked away was actually Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Whoa! Dude got stabbed by a suit of armor. You mean Mr. Marshall died because of me? That's right. It's all your fault, Emma Skye. It's all on your shoulders. I don't know about that. No! Oh, she passed out. Someone did, anyway. I never imagined her testimony would lead to this. So it was the witness who took the victim's life. And then proves so with her own testimony. This is unprecedented. Oh my god. Whew. No wonder Alana didn't want anyone talking about this and wanted to just plead guilty. She was trying to protect her little sister. What are you saying? I'm sorry, Miss Skye, but given the circumstances, Joe Dark murdered Prosecutor Marshall. How can you think it was Emma? How dare you try to pin the crime on her? Imagine that, coming from you. If you recall, it was you who admitted to forging evidence 2 years ago. The reason you moved Prosecutor Marshall's body was to keep anyone else from finding out about what Emma did, wasn't it? I assure you, Mr. Edgeworth, I have no idea what you're talking about. If you hope to have anyone believe your insane allegations, I'm afraid you're going to have proof. Tell me, do you have any conclusive evidence that proves my sister killed Neil Marshall? Did she kill Neil Marshall? How can we prove it? Oh, this is the tricky part. Evidence? I'm willing to bet you don't. You know what? I'm willing to bet we do. Yes, it certainly would be difficult to prove this with evidence. if we don't have evidence, then we'll have to rely on testimony. I'm afraid that won't work in this case. Both parties involved in the incident are dead. Got stabbed by a man in a suit of armor. And it's all my fault. That's right. Headed to a guitar solo. Yeah, that would be a dope metal song. So brutal. We certainly can't get dead people to testify. Yeah, it is pretty hard to get the dead to testify. This has all been a wild goose chase from the beginning. No, no, no. Huh. Touché, Ms. Sky. Of course, that only leaves us with one possibility. You mean there's still another possibility? What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? I mean the possibility that the victim has left us a message. For better or for worse, Mr. Marshall did not die instantaneously. He may have left behind the name of the person who took his life. In one manner or another. Oh my God, so as he's dying, he left us a message. Oh, that's impossible. Oh man, it's heating up now. Well, Mr. Wright, this is the only possibility left to you. A message from the deceased. Does such a message exist? Gotta think back to the court record. The real murderer's name that the victim may have left behind. It's in the evidence. It's gotta be, right? It's in the evidence. This message from the deceased is already in our possession. Mr. Wright, will you stop at nothing to prove my sister a murderer? No, no, no. Do not be mistaken, Ms. Sky. Our purpose is not to accuse Emma of any crime. There is only one thing we seek: the truth. No matter how painful it may be. Now then, Mr. Wright, please show us the piece of evidence that conveys a message from the deceased. This one's easy, right? Because we recently discovered we had some blood-stained evidence in the form of this really weird-shaped jar. Take that! This is the message left by the deceased. This is that blue badger from before, right? Oh, is he going to just speak the killer's name? If that thing could, I'm sure it would. Looks like everyone's forgotten this is just a jar. A message was left here, on the surface of this jar. Oh yeah, before you guys got here, we established that this jar, when viewed at just the right angle, looks like the blue badger. And it took me like, how many tries, Virtue? Like 5 tries to rotate the jar in 3D to get it in the right position. I think that was the hardest thing I've had to do in this game so far, is just rotate this object. It was so frustrating. I was so mad. Okay. You know what? I don't remember it being that difficult on the DS. I think when you have a stylus to sort of like drag stuff around, it's a lot easier. And I'm just trying to do it with my keyboard and mouse. So anyway, a message was left here on the surface of this jar. What do you mean? If you look closely, you can see a faint trail of blood on this jar. It looks like someone wiped the blood away. Yes, but notice, for some reason, the blood on some of the fragments was not wiped away. Yes, there's a line here, drawn in blood. So what you're saying is these dots were once lines. Prosecutor Marshall did not die instantly. He used the few precious moments left to him to leave behind a message. One that someone apparently wiped away. But blood must have seeped into the jar where the lines changed directions. Precisely so. All we need to do is connect these points. Ah, yeah. So we got to connect the dots. We could do that. And the victim's message will become apparent. No! Oh, she looks so nervous. Look at her. Oh, she's sweating bullets. Mr. Wright, what kind of message did the victim leave for us? Your Honor, I believe these bloodstains will reveal to us the answer. I've got to connect these dots to make letters. There's only one thing the victim would have written, given the circumstances. His murderer's name. All right. Well, whenever I see a connect the dots puzzle, it always makes me think about Pee-wee's Playhouse. It's like an old TV show for kids. Because he would do connect the dots puzzles all the time, and he would sing a little song when he did it. It's just like, connect the dots, la 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 la. Connect the dots, la 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 la. Connect the dots. Okay, come on. Connect these dots, bud. Because you know the murderer's name. It's gotta be Emma, right? Is this connecting? I'm gonna just assume that's working. Okay, here we go. And this looks like an A. Dun dun dun! Okay, presenting this bad boy. It's a defense attorney's duty to prove their client's innocence. That's why all I've been thinking about is saving Lana. Oh, you used to watch Pee-wee's Playhouse on Adult Swim? Yeah, I gotta say, it's still fun to watch as an adult. There are so many people that were on that show. You know, Lawrence Fishburne was on that show. The guy that plays like Morpheus in the Matrix movies. He was Cowboy Curtis in Pee-wee's Playhouse. He was great. Anyway, that's why all I've been thinking about is saving Lana. After all my efforts, I never thought it would turn out like this. Emma. So this is the final message Prosecutor Marshall left behind. Wow, everybody's speechless, of all people. She may not have meant it, but in the end, the one who took the victim's life was Emma Skye. Gosh, this is so shocking. Seaworthy? Can't say I didn't warn you. Damon Gant, this dude is a bad guy. This dude is definitely a bad guy. Chief Gant, do you understand the implications of what you've done? What are you talking about? 2 years ago, Joe Dark was sentenced to death. He was convicted because of his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor in the case, were you not? Yes, worthy. Because of you, an innocent man was sentenced to death. Dang! This is super brutal. All of this is so brutal. Not only that, but you used forged evidence to ensure his conviction. Oh, gosh. Poor Edgeworth. But Joe Dark was really a serial murderer. That's undeniable. That's true. I guess he wasn't exactly innocent, right? I'm afraid that's not important. Didn't you know? We aren't defenders of justice. What? We're merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter, even if there wasn't any cover-up or evidence forgery. Ultimately, the responsibility falls on the prosecutor in charge. Despite what anyone may say, this fact cannot be denied. Oh, they're so mad! Do you hear how mad they are? What's going on at the prosecutor's office? They might have sent an innocent man to his death. How could he just stand there like it wasn't his fault? Order, 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 order! Oh man, the courtroom's in an uproar. The gavel's pounding fell on deaf ears. Unable to settle the crowd, the judge declared a recess. Where this trial is headed, no one knows. Ooh, To be continued. Okay, we've got to be almost at the end. This is the 3rd day of court. And this game tells us we only get 3 days in the courtroom, right? So this has got to be it. Final day, trial ladder. Sorry, Edgeworth. I didn't mean to get you in trouble. Don't worry about it. This is my problem, not yours. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Haha, Gumshoe! I'm always happy to see Gumshoe. This dude. Oh, they're not happy to see him, though. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. No, come on. Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You've got a lot of nerve, pal, making a detective run all around while on duty? And to top it off, you call me here? I've seen happier people at funerals. I take it Lana's having you run errands again. Let me tell you, this is the last time, pal. Here, she asked me to give this to you if there was a break in today's trial. Hey, a book on evidence law, and it looks like it's evidence law for dummies. There's like a little stuffed chicken at the judge's desk there, I think. Evidence law? Edgeworth was talking about this just the other day. You must know the 2 rules of evidence law. Rule 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Is that right, Mr. Wright? It seems so. You could at least study some evidence law, really. The chief prosecutor also wanted me to give you a message. A message? She said, if you're planning to take him on, you're going to need this book. Him? I guess I'll need to give this book a thorough read. Alright, so it's in our inventory here. Doesn't look like that book will do you any good now, though. Well, let's take a look at it. Before we forget, we should look at it. Alright, so here it is in our inventory. We're going to go ahead and check it out here. Rules for submitting evidence. Rule 1 and Rule 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. And that's all there is to it. This is a really short book. If you think about it. This is all that's in that book. They could have printed it out as like a flyer. Flyer for submitting evidence. Alright, let's go back. All that's left now is the chief prosecutor's sentence. That's where you're wrong, detective. Huh? Haven't you figured it out yet? Why I'm still sitting in that prosecutor's seat, despite all these allegations being thrown at me? Mr. Edgeworth, the real trial today hasn't begun yet. What? What else is there left to do? Your credibility has been all but ruined with this forged evidence you were unaware of. Emma Skye found out she unwittingly caused a man's death. And now, you telling me you want to do more? Gotta be kidding me, pal. You're missing the point, detective. Lana didn't murder Detective Goodman. She merely stuck a knife into his dead body. That means the real killer is still out there. Ah, yes, the real killer. Let's not forget about the real killer. What? And we're going to expose him, no matter what it takes. This case has hurt too many people. It's time to bring it to an end. That's right. We gotta dunk on the real killer here and bring him to justice. Court will now reconvene for the trial of Ms. Lana Skye. Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, Your Honor? The inquiry committee is planning to impose harsh penalties for your actions. Thank you for the news, Your Honor. Yes, well... Normally, this is where the prosecution calls forth a witness, but, This isn't easy to say. You see, there is some concern that you, Mr. Edgeworth, may have, struck a bargain. You think I may have manipulated the witnesses. I didn't say that. It's just, you see, everyone has been talking and... Very well, Your Honor. I have a solution. A solution? That being the case, the prosecution will allow the defense to call forth all further witnesses. Oh wow, so he's really handing over the reins on this trial. What? But there's no precedent for what you're proposing. Undeniably, this is an unusual arrangement, but a very effective one. It would prove that I haven't struck any deals with the witnesses. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you say? Unbelievable. Edgeworth has found a way to continue the trial. Very well, the defense accepts the prosecution's proposal. And it's settled. The defense may now call forth the next witness. Mr. Wright, you do realize this is your last chance. If you call the wrong witness, this trial is as good as over. Man, no pressure. Thanks, Edgy. The defense calls. The time's finally come to bring out the real murderer. Well, who could the real murderer be? Is it Damon Gant? Is it Officer Meekins? Is it Gumshoe? Is it Lana Skye? Is it Emma? Is it the lunch lady? I think it's probably gotta be Damon Gant. All signs seem to be pointing to this dude being extremely sus. He is hiding evidence in his safe. He is showing two different sides to his personality. This guy is extremely suspicious. I'm gonna go ahead and throw him under the bus here. Damon Gant. The defense calls Damon Gant to the stand. Buddy, you think it's a lot of heart? That was in the last case. She ain't even here anymore. Damon Gant. What does he have to do with anything? As the defendant's partner 2 years ago, Mr. Gant has first-hand knowledge of the crime. I feel we should hear what he has to say about it. As luck would have it, he should still be in the courthouse. He would also be the least likely to have been manipulated by me in any way. Yeah, you know, Edgeworth is bringing up a good point. It's pretty hard for him to manipulate the chief of police. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honor? True. All right, bailiff, please escort Mr. Gant to the stand. Witness, please state your name and occupation. What is this, some kind of practical joke? I was just on my way to lunch. Your name and occupation, sir? Worthy, are you sure you want to do this? Your name and occupation. Ooh. You want to play hardball, eh? Please, Mr. Gant. Fine. My name is Damon Gant. I'm the acting chief of police. Now then, Chief Gant, the court requests to hear your testimony. Oh, righto. What's with the grim face? First, let's clear up this SL9 incident. Oh, you mean that time when Lana's sister murdered that prosecutor? Personally, I think it's been made pretty clear already. There are still some things unaccounted for. Oh? Like what? Like the role you played in all of this. Son, either you're very brave or very foolish. You are aware, of course, that a police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Is he threatening us? Weapons? Sure. Take my testimony, for example. I don't have to give it if I don't want to. What? Is that true? I'm afraid so. The chief of police has the right to refuse to testify. Of course, such an action carries with it certain risks. Don't worry, I'm not here to hinder your trial. Just remember, if this turns out to be a big waste of time, don't say I didn't warn you. I don't like this dude one bit. I think he's low-key threatening us, and I don't like his attitude. And I also don't like his tie. His whole outfit screams suspicious man to me. Very well. The witness may now begin his testimony. As I recall, Neil and I were questioning him on that day. To make a long story short, we slipped up. That power outage didn't help either. When I went to my office, I found Lana there. Apparently, she had already arranged the crime scene. As you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery. Is that when Dark was arrested? Him? He was lying on the floor unconscious. Oh, wow, look at that. When Emma sent Neil flying, it seems Dark bumped his head. You think it was a low blow that I don't like the way he's dressed? So you're telling me, buddy, you run into somebody dressed like this guy and you don't immediately go, well, that's super weird. That's kind of odd. This is a little unsettling. I don't know. To me, it is very unsettling. He kind of looks a little like a vampire to me, and I think that's why it's throwing me off a bit. I see. Everything seems pretty clear-cut. If the police chief has the right to refuse to testify, then I'd better hit him hard and fast. See, what's going on with this tie now that we can see him again, right? So you're telling me he doesn't look like a vampire or maybe like a Van Helsing or something like this? Like a vampire hunter? That's what he looks like to me. He's got this symbol here, right? And how exactly is he tying this tie? Because it looks like he has a knot here at his neck, but then he's got like a pin or something. I'm just saying it's a look. It's a look. Is this orange or is this supposed to be tan? Anyway, never mind. Let's move forward here. Not that I'm some expert on fashion, by the way. As I recall, Neil and I were questioning him that day. To make a long story short, we slipped up. That power outage didn't help either. When I went to my office, I found Lana there. Apparently, she had already arranged the crime scene. As you can see, I had nothing to do with forgery. Yeah, you know what? I don't believe you at all, because we found a whole bunch of stuff in your office in your safe. Yeah, the skin of his enemies is right. He seems exactly like the kind of guy to make a suit out of the skin of his enemies and dance around into it while singing Goodbye Horses a la Buffalo Bill. All right, so let's go ahead and present, how about some of this stolen evidence that he was hiding? What do we have? How about the list of evidence from the prior case? Half of this list was found in Gant's desk. I bet that's in there, right? He looks like a vampire hippie that aged well. Yeah, you know what? I would say that's a good call. You're saying hippie because of the glasses, am I right? Those pink lenses are something to look at, that's for sure. You claim he had nothing to do with the forgery. But I'm afraid that is a claim you cannot back up. Explain yourself. Several pieces of evidence were found in your office. Take this list, for example. That's the list Emma Skye drew her picture on. The This was discovered in your desk. Not only that, but a piece of this jar that was sitting in your office was found inside your safe. It was found where? You see, Chief Gant, these articles of evidence uncovered in your office are both concrete proof that you also played a part in the illegal investigation. Oh my God! Phoenix, tearing it up here. Chief Gant, what's the meaning of this? Oh, here's a defense attorney who may even rival Worthy. So you admit to it then, that you were involved in the forgery? Who, me? Or do you mean you? Me? Why would I have anything to do with that? Well, you were the one who snuck into my office when you found this evidence. Prosecutors aren't the only ones capable of forging evidence, you know. Oh man, he's bringing up a really good point. There is a chain of custody issue here. Defense attorneys can do so, too. Isn't that right, Righto? However, Detective Gumshoe was present during the investigation. Worthy, my boy. Not even detectives are exempt from the law. Rest assured, Dick will receive his due punishment. What? If Detective Gumshoe's salary drops any further, he'll end up paying to work. It sounds like me. Yes, well, in light of the detectives present, please give us your testimony regarding these pieces of evidence found in your office and their relation to the forgery that took place at the crime scene. My. Kids these days no longer know how to put two and two together. He's trying to hurt Gumshoe. We cannot stand for this, right? Let's see, what was it now? A jar fragment and a list? For all I know, you could have planted them in my office. Anyway, you can't prove when those pieces of evidence were discovered. If they were found after Dark was convicted, then they're worthless. There's no reason I'd participate in a forgery. Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way. Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor? When investigating the crime scene, you should have been more careful to observe protocol. You do understand I'm the chief of police, right? There will be consequences. Ooh. Indeed, I believe I will press charges, so you won't make the same mistake again. This dude is just threatening us left, right, and center, right? Should pay Gummy and stop using the police budget on dumb haircuts and ties. Buddy Bear, this police department depends on stupid haircuts and ties. I think this entire city depends on stupid haircuts and ties. Look at how crazed this guy looks, by the way. I wouldn't want to meet this guy in a dark alley. I don't know about you. My apologies, Chief, but would you mind waiting until tomorrow for that? Today is, well, you know. All right, Udgy. In return, though? I know. That place, right? Huh? What are these guys? Telepathic? Oh, they're talking about going out to lunch or something, right? The judge and this chief are a little too cozy for my liking, especially given that this dude's a murderer, right? For all I know, you could have planted them in my office. Anyway, you can't prove when those pieces of evidence were discovered. If they were found after Dark was convicted, then they're worthless. There's no reason I'd participate in a forgery. Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way. I don't believe that for a second. You gotta tell me more, bud. Really, Chief Gant? At the very least, there is one very large benefit you've reaped from all this. Oh? I wasn't aware. What is this benefit? That would, of course, be the position you have. Chief of Police. Oh. The resolution of the SL9 incident secured your promotion to chief. That in and itself is sufficient motive. Oh, ho, ho. Oh, that's a good one. Huh? Do you really think I'm that incompetent? What do you mean? Even without that case, I was already in line to become the next chief. The resolution of SL9 merely sped up the inevitable a little. Is that true, Edgeworth? Yes. He was going to be made chief anyway. Gah! Be careful when pointing that finger, or you might wind up being the one pointed at. That's right, you know, he makes a good point. When you point at somebody, you're pointing 4 fingers back at yourself. Yeah, so that means there's only one possible motivation for you to commit forgery. If you didn't do it for yourself, then you did it for someone else. Don't be silly, Worthy. You know me better than that. There are only 3 people I look out for. Me, myself, and I. There, it's out in the open now. Udgy, would you mind if I change my testimony a little? By all means, please do. I wouldn't be anyone's accomplice if there was nothing in it for me. Nothing in it for him. Yeah, exactly. Nothing in it for you? Sorry, but the only person I care about is yours truly. That girl, Lana's little sister, was it? If you think I felt sorry for her, you'd better think again. You're right. You don't feel sorry for anyone. Be tough on crime and tough on people. That's how I was raised. I don't like that at all. Tough on crime and tough on people? Why don't we just stick to being tough on crime, okay? You seem to be lax enough on yourself, though. Oh, that's a good one, Worthy. Could there have been something in it for him? Given his selfishness, would he have helped someone out? I think maybe an accomplice, right? True, you might not help out anyone for their sake, but if it would benefit you, you might decide to assist someone. Mr. Wright, it appears you're positively determined to portray the chief as a nice man who likes to lend people a hand. That's not what I mean. Very well, then. Who is this person you believe Chief Gant may have helped forge evidence? Well, unfortunately, I think it has to be Lana Skye, because they were partners at the time, right? So let's go ahead and present Lana Skye here. Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye, the defendant? I believe it's quite obvious in light of the circumstances. Emma Skye fell victim to an unfortunate series of events. Who would want to help her more than her own sister, Lana? And as for Chief Gant, he would have also had a reason to help Lana if she asked him to. That reason, of course, is self-profit. Self-profit? What do you mean? After the SL9 incident was resolved, Lana Skye was appointed chief prosecutor at the prosecutor's office. The person who arranged this job change was you, Chief Gant. But how would he profit from all of this? He would be able to use the chief prosecutor as his puppet. Oh man, so he's the puppet master pulling the strings. Essentially, he would acquire unchecked authority over all investigations. Do you mean to tell me that despite the chief's formidable appearance, he plays with puppets? Wait a minute, what's wrong with playing with puppets? Everybody loves puppets. Oh, wait. You must mean puppet, as in someone forced to do his bidding. Never mind. Admit it, Chief. You assisted Lana Skye in forging evidence. Your motive, to appoint her as chief prosecutor so you could control her. Righto, my boy. You have quite an imagination. Let me ask you something. What? Do you have any proof of this, that I controlled Lana? For example, is Lana testifying that I've done such a thing? Lana. She's keeping quiet to protect Emma. There's no way she'd testify against Gant. I'm afraid without any proof, this all amounts to nothing more than mere conjecture. Unless that is also what happened in this incident. This incident? Which one would that be? Of course, I'm talking about the murder of Detective Bruce Goodman. The chief prosecutor's been acting strange throughout this entire trial. Almost as if someone has been controlling her. Oh, yeah. Worthy, you'd better watch your tongue. I wouldn't want you to get hurt. Oh, he's threatening him again. Don't you threaten Edgeworth. Don't you threaten our husbando. Right, buddy? Well, just what do you mean? What he means, Your Honor, is that Chief Gant is involved in the murder of Detective Goodman. You leave Edgy alone. Right? Like, leave Brittany alone. Leave Brittany alone. Leave Edgeworth alone. Not only that, but the chief is now making Lana take the rap to cover up his involvement. Oh, wow. So he's pressuring her to take the fall. What? Order, order, order. I said order. Mr. Wright, you can't be serious. Huh? This is an affront to the highest ranking officer in our law enforcement agency. To accuse the chief of police of blackmail and murder? That's impossible. No, it's definitely possible, my dude. It's definitely possible. Your Honor, I was merely reiterating what Mr. Edgeworth said in easier to understand language. No, no, no. It's too late, Mr. Wright. There's no turning back for us now. It looks like he's the one who's decided to go through with this. Well, all right. Can you prove this, Mr. Wright? That the chief, a high-ranking officer of the law, is involved in this murder? Good question. Yeah, well, to be fair, buddy, he is a judge in Japan, so he doesn't really need to be that, that familiar on international proceedings, right? Regardless of his rank or title, Chief Gant is just a man. The question is he a criminal? I believe the evidence will tell. I see. All right, then. Let's see what Mr. Wright's got, and it better be good. Show us this evidence that ties Chief Gant to the murder of Detective Goodman. All right, well, that one's easy, right? That one's got to be the ID card record, because this 777-7777, that has to be an executive officer, and I think it has to be the chief. I think it has to be Chief Gant's number. So let's go ahead and present this ID card record. This is the ID card list. Yes, the one that shows who entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. There was one ID on the list we couldn't determine the owner of yesterday. 777-7777. Sorry, but there's no way you can prove that's my card number. It's your number. What? How do you know that? The safe in Chief Gant's office requires a code to open. A 7-digit code. 7 digits? You don't mean... I'm afraid so, Your Honor. The code was 777-7777. Okay, so I get that this is proving that it's the chief's ID number and everything, but I just want to take a moment to point this out. This dude's safe combination is one number pressed over and over and over. So if somebody just started pressing the 7 button on the safe, it would open. That's a terrible combination for a safe. This guy's an idiot. It reminds me of the movie Spaceballs. That's a really old movie, I guess. But in Spaceballs, where the president of the Spaceballs group says that the combination to his luggage is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the kind of combination an idiot would have on his luggage. Yeah, buddy, if this is your code, 7777777, it's time to change codes. The same as the remaining ID card number on that list. Chief Gant, you entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. Oh, look how rustled he is. Look at the rustlage on this man's face. Order, order. Chief Gant, what do you have to say? Nothing. The defense search of my office was in violation of regulations. And I will demand Mr. Wright be punished to the maximum extent of the law. Yes, that's right, Virtue. His jimmies are at maximum rustlage. That's right. The jimmies are melting down with all the rustlage. But right now, this court demands an explanation from you about the use of this ID card. Chief Gant, so you admit it? You entered the evidence room on the day of the crime? What about it? I'm chief of police. Whether it's the evidence room or the bathroom, what's the difference? I can go anywhere I want. Is this guy implying that he goes to the bathroom in the evidence room? That's not cool. Oh, he tightened his tie even more? I don't think that's really necessary. It looks pretty tight already. Tell me, when he entered the room, were you alone? I always go to the bathroom alone, as I do with the evidence room. Detective Goodman wouldn't have happened to be with you that day, would he? Of course not. Why would he be? I hadn't seen him in days. You hadn't seen him in days? Chief Gant, I'm afraid you've just undone yourself. On that day, you had to have met with Detective Goodman. That's right. What do you mean? This trial's purpose is to determine Lana Sky's guilt. No, it isn't, Your Honor. This trial's purpose is to determine the truth. If Chief Gant met the victim on the day of the crime, then we need to determine one thing: what transpired during that meeting. In that case, Mr. Wright, I'm going to have to ask you for evidence. Show us proof that the victim went to meet Chief Gant on the day of the crime. Well, I think that's pretty easy. He had a lost item report somewhere, right? Where is it? Let's see here. Here it is. Can only be submitted to the Chief of Police. Alright, let's go ahead and present this. Detective Goodman lost his ID card on the day of the crime. Or to be more accurate, Jake Marshall stole it. So Detective Goodman filled out a lost item report. He would have had to give that report to the Chief of Police. Yet you are in possession of the report, which means you can't be sure if he filed it. He filed it. How do I know, you ask? Because he needed to enter the evidence room that day. He needed to? Yes, to transfer the evidence out. Oh. Detective Goodman took the form to you, Chief Gant. Then, you accompanied the detective to the evidence room. I accompanied him? Oh man, look at his eyebrow twitch too. Man, the animation for these characters is really great considering You really don't have a lot of movement, all things considered, right? There's no other way that murderer and Detective Goodman could have entered the room. That's true. If he didn't have his ID card, Goodman couldn't have got in the room by himself. Hold on. Let me guess what you're going to say next. I, the chief of police, murdered poor Goodman. Exactly. But wait. The chief didn't necessarily need to accompany him to the evidence room. He could have just lent him his ID card. Yes. Now that you mention it, I believe I might have done something of the sort. Huh. Sorry, but that's not possible. According to the record, your card was only used once. Yet you showed us your ID card earlier. If you had really lent it to Detective Goodman, it would have been found on his body. Ooh, what do you think about that? Oh! Did you see that? Did you see that? He's so mad. He's big mad, right? Chief Gant, you didn't. The murder was most likely a spur-of-the-moment crime, for no one in their right mind would choose the police department as a place to commit murder. He just went Super Saiyan. Yes, he did. He absolutely did. His power level was over 9,000 for a moment there. Oh, man. After the murder, you contacted Lana at the prosecutor's office. Why? To dispose of Detective Goodman's body, of course. You're forgetting, Mr. Wright, that the victim's body was discovered in the prosecutor's office parking lot. How did he manage to move it there? I was at the police department the entire day, you know. And everyone's aware that Lana stayed at the prosecutor's office after the ceremony. Everyone except me, it seems. Still, you're the chief of police. You have an entire police force at your disposal. Oh, so you think I just ordered an officer to do it? Hey, you! Take this here dead body over to the prosecutor's office. I don't think so. Chief Gant, you left all the evidence we need to prove how you moved the body to the prosecutor's office. And all this time, I thought it was just a useless clue just taking up space. How could the chief have moved the body? Mr. Wright, show us this evidence. To move the victim's body, Chief Gant used this. Alright, so he put the body in the trunk of Edgeworth's car, right? So I think the idea is we must have to... Oh, I know! A robot. Yeah. It was the Blue Badger the whole time. Yeah. No, I think what it is Edgeworth was asked by Gant to bring this screwdriver back to the office. So this is how he got Edgeworth to drive his car from one location to the other, right? So let's go ahead and present the screwdriver. This is how we moved Detective Goodman's body. What's that? A screwdriver? But what does that have to do with this case? Mr. Edgeworth, think back to the day of the crime. What is this screwdriver doing here? It's here because... Whoa! I was asked to go, by Chief Gant, no less. He told me he wanted me to keep it here in the prosecutor's office. In any case, on the day of the stabbings, I brought this back here. After the ceremony ended that day, I didn't plan to return to the prosecutor's office. But you did, because Chief Gant asked you to. You mean The body was found in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. I think it's obvious what happened. The body was moved by that car. Oh my god. I would freak out if I was Edgeworth, figuring out that I had unintentionally moved a body in my car. Detective Goodman's body was carried in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. Yes, unless, of course, you have another explanation, Chief. Why else would you have asked Mr. Edgeworth to transport evidence from a closed case? There's only one plausible explanation. To transport the body to your accomplice, Ms. Lana Skye. Order! 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 What's going on here? Is there no room for rebuttal to the defense's outrageous accusations? Yeah, buddy, I would be super on edge too. I don't know if getting the car detailed would be enough to make me forget there was a dead body in it. I'd have to get rid of the car. Think back to the photograph Ms. Starr took at the prosecutor's office. This was not a photo of the body being stuffed in the trunk to be taken away. It was exactly the opposite. It was a photo of the body being taken from the trunk. Chief Gant, please say something. I believe your time's up. My time's up? Sorry, Righto, but I'm having lunch with the District Attorney General after this. We have to get going if we're going to make it in time for the early bird special. Oh, he's just gonna waltz out of here. But the cross-examination isn't finished yet. Remember what I told you earlier? A police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Weapons? Like the right to refuse to testify. I'm invoking that right now. It's probably pretty smart on his part, since he is obviously a bad guy. What? That is not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered. So you're going to just run away after all of this? Run away? Don't make me laugh, Worthy. I stabbed old Goodman. That's what you're saying, right? But if you had any conclusive evidence, you would have presented it by now. Well, You think I had Lana dispose of the body? If so, then show your proof and get it over with. I'll say it again, Mr. Wright. Damon Gant is the current chief of police. This court will not tolerate any accusations against him without concrete proof. Well, Mr. Wright? Your Honor? Do you have any concrete proof? Proof that Chief Gant murdered Detective Goodman and made Ms. Skye dispose of his body? Do I have any concrete proof? I don't think I do. I guess I don't. There's no use showing evidence I'm not even sure of myself. No, Your Honor, at present, I have no conclusive evidence. See, Aji? In that case, this court is forced to penalize you for your allegations against the chief. Oh no, I'm gonna get punished. What? Here's a tip. Never gamble what you can't afford to lose, Righto. It seems that Lady Luck was on my side again today. Okay, Aji. I'll leave the rest to you. No, don't let him go. He's a bad dude. I warned you earlier, Mr. Wright. This is an affront to a senior officer in our nation's law enforcement agency. Ooh. Whoa! Aw, Edgeworth coming to our rescue. Lady Luck, Maybe we should have a word with her. Mr. Edgeworth, what do you mean? There's one lady who knows the real truth behind this trial. We haven't yet had the honor of hearing her testimony. A lady who knows the truth? Another witness. In the absence of conclusive evidence, the only other method of proof is testimony. But Chief Gant has invoked his right to refuse to testify. There's still someone else, one more witness who can answer all the questions raised in this trial. Someone right in this very room. Mr. Edgeworth, who is this person? Huh. Why are you asking me, Your Honor? Have you forgotten? The defense is the one calling the witnesses today. Oh yeah, he's making a good point. Mr. Wright, does such a witness exist? She may not be willing to tell the truth, but we can't just stop now. Ah, yeah. It's gotta be. Yes, Your Honor, the defense calls forth Miss Lana Skye, right?
Take that!
The defendant? Ms. Lana Skye? She was in the underground parking lot at 5:15 p.m. on February 21st. Her task? To dispose of the victim's body. In accordance with a certain someone's orders. Mr. Edgeworth? The prosecution has no objections, Your Honor. Very well. The court will now take its final recess for the day. In 15 minutes, we will reconvene to hear the defendant's testimony. This court is now in Hold on! Huh? Chief Gant! I thought you were going to eat. Man, he's back already? Arrest this guy! Listen good, Lana. He's talking to Lana. I don't think you need me to tell you this, but if you accept Mr. Wright's claims, there will be terrible consequences. That's right. Your sister will be found guilty for Neil Marshall's murder. Whoa! All these threats are not cool. Oh, this isn't good. It sure isn't. Of course, you'd never support such outrageous claims anyway, right? Just something to think about. All right then, I've got a lunch date to meet. Yeah, he just casually threatened her in open court, in front of everyone. Okay, if there aren't any further objections. This court is now in recess. Oh my gosh. Looks like we managed to stay in the game. Yeah, thanks to your help, Mr. Edgeworth. It's all Edgy's fault we're still handling this. That chief, he's something else, eh, pals? Detective Gumshoe. I'm not a detective anymore. Oh, that's right, he got fired. Oh yeah, sorry about that. Don't worry, I've already decided where to work now. At your office. At my office? Sure. I'll take the place of that top-knotted girl you used to work with. Could he mean Maya? Still, looks like we're all out of moves now. Chief Gant's done it again. How is it he always gets the upper hand? It's not fair he has the right to refuse to testify. Huh, settle down, Wright. Remember what the judge said? But Chief, that is not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered. Risks? What did he mean by that? It's simple. If the chief refuses to testify, the opposite also holds true. You mean he forfeits his right to say anything too? Ah, Emma! Are you okay? Yeah, when I came to, I was in the medical office. I've been listening to the trial from the gallery. So, she heard everything that's been going on. Emma, I'm sorry for what I said before. No, don't be. It was the truth. You know, it's funny. I almost feel somehow relieved. Relieved? Yeah, now I finally know what really happened. To think that all this time, my sister was being blackmailed by that terrible man. And she did it all just to protect me. Ever since her appointment as chief prosecutor, everyone who knew her said she changed. Perhaps it was easier that way for her. What do you mean? What do you think I mean? To follow Chief Gant's orders. She must have shut herself up deep inside to force herself to do anything and everything the chief told her to do. That must be why she became so cold. It was all my fault. It's all because I murdered Mr. Marshall. Murdered is a little strong. I think it was an accident. Hey, don't go blaming yourself now. If you want to blame anyone, blame society, pal. That's right, we live in a society. Chief Gant may be able to fool everyone else with his forgery, but he can't fool my memory. I remember now. I knocked Mr. Marshall into that armor. I see. Well, we better get back. It's time for the final act. Emma, why don't you wait here? No, I'm going with you. I want to be there when Lana tells the truth. Let's go, Wright. It's time to end this. Ooh, to be continued. All right, and talk about timing. We get a chance to save our game right at the time I was planning on wrapping up the stream for the night. So I wanted to thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate all of the support from y'all out there. It means everything. Thank you so much. I hope you had a great time watching the stream today. I'm going to be back to finish this game up on Sunday at 6 p.m. So we'll start out with that. And we'll probably end up having to transition to a second game because there's really only a tiny bit left to this one, right? So, anyway, thanks so much for tuning in again. I appreciate y'all out there, and I hope you have an awesome rest of your night. Take care now. Bye-bye.